up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Snapshot, we're sporting one magnetic rod when we take a look at the Scourge. Now, you can pick up the Scourge in the Tunnel Lab of your clan dojo, but only after you've completed the appropriate research. However, do keep in mind, it does take Mastery Rank 6 to craft. Now, clearly, if working this pull means way too much to you and you must have it now, you can always pick it up pre-built along with a weapon slot and catalyst for 240 plat. Also be aware, just in case you want to pick up the whole set, you can always jump into the market and take a look at the Hero collection, which is available for 675. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, the Scourge falls under the spear gun category, which offers a primary mode of fire as well as the ability to throw it for a bonus effect. The Scourge's default mode launches an orb of corrosive energy that strikes all enemies within a 5-meter radius, combined with a base status chance of 30, which can be pushed to the 100% mark, alongside a decent fire rate, and you've got an awesome weapon for applying debuffs. Due to its preset corrosive base damage, you can also add in the viral elemental combo to shred armor from enemy units and half their health at the same time. Toss on some radiation and you've got yourself a real clusterfuck. Now, using its alternate fire launches it at a target area. If the Scourge strikes an enemy, it will deal a large amount of damage as it passes through. Upon contact with terrain, it will begin to pulse every 7 seconds, afflicting all enemies caught within a 14-meter radius with a headshot bullet attractor that lasts for 3 seconds before fading. If not picked up, it will stay in place for approximately 24 seconds, and if tossed out of reach, it will automatically return in about 12. Now, as for the build, you can see that it's all fairly basic. We're just trying to push up that status chance up to 100%. You don't need to push it up to 100%, but that's just what I'm feeling in my soul. So we've taken all of these status elemental mods and we basically tossed them on there. The only thing that I really feel is kind of arguable is Firestorm. Now, if I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, it adds just like a little bit over a meter when it comes to the alternate fire, and it really doesn't add that much when it comes to the primary fire, but you know, I figured a little bit of extra radius will help spread the debuffs, and the debuffs are really what makes this weapon a thing. You can totally go ahead and mod this out with a 90% elemental mod if you really want to, and the reason that you would want to do that is to possibly encourage one of the statuses more than another. So for those of you who don't know, the larger an elemental base is within like the weapon, that damage base is going to get a little bit more priority. Now clearly it's not going to outshine everything else, but let's say you want to encourage a little bit more viral than the rest of them, then that's how you go ahead and do it. Of course, there is that Bane of Corrupt mod, which I'm like, oh my god, I need that in my body. I need a primed version of that. Please, Beryl Katir, at some point. I need that in my life. That would make me super happy. Regardless, I'm gonna shut up now and let's go ahead and see how this thing performs. Alright, so per usual, we've got our lovely friend, Mr. Billy Bombard over here, laying down his life for us. So as you can see, because this thing is a pretty big orb, it's really easy to get headshots with it. But at the same time, let me go ahead and do that. This thing is actually laying into this enemy pretty well, and I kind of want to pose this to you. This is kind of like my thought for this weapon. The damage on this weapon on its own is not very powerful, but because of the fact that you can have so many effects running on it at the same time, like viral and corrosive, working together to pretty much wear this enemy down very quickly, it actually feels a lot more powerful than it is. Because, you know, the numbers, you look at the numbers and the numbers are basically like, oh, it's really not all that crazy, but because of the fact that you have so many debuffs, it's like, wow, it looks really good. Now, the one thing that I did want to show you is how this pairs up when it comes to its secondary thrown ability. And for those of you who watched it, you guys know exactly how the Nell reacted when it went up against a level 150. I had to empty a bunch into him in order to kill him. But as you can see right there, it literally took 2 shots and that thing was over and done with. It was even quicker than it was earlier, so it just goes to show the power of debuffing your enemy. And while this weapon on its own, I still think it's powerful, don't get me wrong, I still think the weapon is fucking powerful. I mean, we're testing it on a level 150, so everything's gonna look like it struggles just a little bit on it, but because of the fact that it's got all of these debuffs, and basically you throw it to unleash your secondary weapon, whether it be your melee weapon, like the new thrown ones, or whether it be your pistol, like, it just kind of goes to show the power of debuffs. and it's pretty gosh darn incredible. So all in all, I am a big fan of the Scourge. To me, this is like the epitome of a support weapon. It's got so much status and so much AoE kind of tied to it that it really encourages you to use it to debuff enemies and something else to actually finish off the enemies, kind of like that bullet headshot attractor thing that it's got going on. And because of the fact that we just got dual wielding, I feel like it pairs perfectly with that. We can use our thrown weapons to be attracted for those headshots, or our pistols to do the exact same thing. So I think it's kind of ingenious. And then we also have the Nox unit that's kind of like encouraging headshots. So this whole update is all about catching head, I guess I would say. Regardless, those are the facts and figures. Let me know what you guys think. Should I replace Firestorm and toss in another elemental mod? Do something a little bit fun with it? I don't know, because for me right now, I'm not super attached to Firestorm. I may play around with the build a little bit more, but really, to be honest with you, everything else but that one mod is kind of like the core of the build to me. So those are your facts and figures. If you guys want to hear me more ramble about things and use bad grammar, stay tuned for the gameplay. Alright, so truth be told, I think one of my favorite things about this weapon is kind of like the flexibility that you get with it. You can just go ahead and use it, you know, as a standard weapon, but one of the things that I like is being able to mix it up, especially with Hero and all of like his cool headshot synergies and all that kind of stuff. It really makes it, you know, it really makes it a cool kind of like theme that goes along throughout the entire update. Is like, let's just get a bunch of head, right? We have Mr. Nox guy, which is all about, you know, trying to crack his glass. We have Hero, who has like bonuses to headshots. We have the Nell, who needs headshots in order to work. I just feel like it was like a really well themed. I feel like it was a really well themed update. I think my only big complaint about both the Nell and the Scourge is while the Scourge is like gorgeous, it's definitely a gorgeous looking weapon. Like what the fuck happened to the metallics? Where are the metallics on this weapon? It makes my heart so incredibly sad that we don't have anything like that. I'm like, no, I need my metallics, please. Ooh, because of the fact that I don't have bounce on this. Oh shit. Ooh. Quite nice. Quite nice. Alright. Sorry, I got distracted by all of the headshots. I just got really, I was like, woo! It's so pretty and beautiful and wonderful. Again, get distracted by head. I mean, how can you not, right? And then I love the fact that this is kind of like, it's positioned to be a, how do I put this? This is gonna sound absolutely absurd, you guys. You're gonna look at me like, Rob, you're fucking absolutely batshit insane. You're batshit insane. But really what I kind of want to break this down to is this is almost like the status equivalent of, it's almost like the status equivalent of the Soma, right? And you're like, Rob, what kind of insanity are you putting out there into the universe? But I mean, like, hear me out. So the big thing about this is kind of like it would not be good. In fact, it looks really underpowered if it weren't for the fact that it had so many kind of like statistical amps to it, right? So with the Soma, you had like the crit damage, the critical chance on it, you know, but its base was like ridiculously painfully low, right? It was like, I think it's like what, 12 damage? I don't remember off the top of my head. But it was a really low damage number, and everybody was looking at it like, this is the dumbest. And then you looked at the crit stats and you're like, holy shit, that's actually pretty fucking insane, right? With everything working together. And that's the exact same way that I felt about the Scourge. I was kind of like, oh, like, well, this is kind of underwhelming. And then you see all of the statistics that you can, oh, well, I'm doing that again, I guess. You can kind of see all of the statistics that work along with it, and you're like, wow, with all of this, like, really well-placed status, you know what I mean? It's AoE, it's got a decent fire rate, and it can spread, a whole bunch, and it's single elemental based, or it's even combo elemental based, technically. So it's combo elemental based, and it's a good combo. It's like fucking armor stripping, right? So you get the armor stripping in there. And then you can also toss in the viral, and then you can also toss in the radiation. So it's just, I don't know, it just feels like it feels like this weapon would be weaker if everything didn't jive together the way that it jived together, right? I don't know. Let me know if you think that I'm absolutely crazy, because it totally feels like, at least theory crafting wise, this is totally like the Soma version but for status, right? No, I sound nuts. But no, that's really kind of like where I stand with it, because on paper it doesn't really look that impressive, but when you put all of the pieces together, it's like, holy shit, it works really, really well. Especially kind of like with the release of everything that we've had going on. It's the perfect combo of things. Oh, there you go. Sometimes that's the one thing that you kind of always got to kind of keep in mind with this weapon. Oh, do the pulse. Oh no, I picked it up instead. Is it does take a little. Remember what I was saying, like about skill-based gameplay when it came to like Harrow and like all of the hullabaloo that kind of came along with him. That's kind of like the same thing that it feels here. It's like you have to get used to the type of play that comes along with this weapon, right? Because it's really odd always kind of like running around and swapping between weapons and having to get used to the different fire rates. But after you can get that underneath your belt, or maybe here's the thing, maybe you don't get it underneath your belt and you just use weapons that kind of feel well. Like one of the things that I was thinking about was, how does this pair with shotguns, right? Because, you know, shotguns tend to have lower accuracy, but if I were to shoot like a fucking Maradetron in it, would it be absolutely insane? And that's kind of one of the things that allows you to play with this weapon, because on its own the weapon is really, really good, but when you pair it with other things and you kind of break out of your comfort zone and really kind of improve your skills with it, like not even just like your play skills but like your brain skills, you're like, oh, well, I could pair it with this, I could pair it with that. There's this new thing that I can try with it. I can use it with the dual wield stuff, right? I can use it with thrown weapons. Well, what happens when I toss it with the Helicar? This and that, like, you know, there are just so many different cool combinations that come with the Scourge that I'm like, oh, it just feels ingenious, and it's not a shit weapon to boot, so that's always a good thing, because sometimes you get those weapons that are like that have really interesting mechanics to them, and you're like, oh, but you're terrible. And you're like, well, you were interesting enough to play with a couple times, but I don't know if I'd pick you up ever again. This is one of those things that will actually define an entire playstyle. But anyway, that's just me ranting. Let me know if you think I'm crazy in the comments. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.